Hello, everybody. You know what time it is. It is time for your favorite day, which is Tuesday, and your favorite show, which is Virtual Trek Cons, the main viewer live. You're going to get all the Star Trek news of the week, bunch of sci-fi news, not just Star Trek, but pretty Star Trek heavy, because there's so much Star Trek news constantly happening. Like what, you ask? Well, for example, we've got Jonathan Frakes talking about Star Trek Legacy. Does anybody want to hear about Star Trek Legacy? I sure do. Mm-hmm. I cannot get enough of that news until it actually happens, if it happens. Also, he likens Discovery to First Contact, Discovery Season 5, the upcoming final season of Star Trek Discovery, to First Contact. Does he mean the movie First Contact or the Next Generation episode First Contact with the Malkorians? We'll see. We will see. And how on Earth or in the galaxy is it going to be like First Contact? We've got to dig into that. I'm confused. Also, Roxanne Dawson, that's B'Elanna Torres on Star Trek Voyager. She had a chance to direct new Star Trek episodes, but she balked. She said, no thanks. Why? Let's find out together. Also, Mr. Chekhov, Walter Koenig, has an answer when he was asked recently whether he would return to Star Trek, even more recently than playing Anton Chekhov on Picard Season 3. It's big news, or maybe not, but depending on his answer, I'm not giving anything away, but what did he say when we asked him if he'd come back to Star Trek at the ripe old age of 87? Also, we've got a little bit of information from the front lines on the strike. Bill Walkoff always keeps us updated with that kind of stuff on Twitter. Hemmer is spoken of in the news as well. This is going to be something with the word weird in it, so stick around for that. Got a preview of this week's episode of Lower Decks. For All Mankind, Season 4 is coming up soon. That's a big one with a lot of Star Trek people working behind the scenes on that. And a little bit of Star Trek merchandise news. You guys, there's just so much to talk about. Also, we get an answer from a head writer of Star Trek Prodigy as to where we are, what's going on. Have they closed the book on Prodigy? Are we almost there? Are we just going to get news of them getting picked up in just like a day or two? Are we right on the cusp? We'll find out in a moment. The point is, everybody, Melissa Longo is here.
Hi. Good evening. Oh, and so is Captain Picard. And his beautiful legs. Lovely
If you'd like to get a cool Riza and Chill shirt featuring Picard in any color and any size, get that at the link in the description box below. It's the Star Trek and Chill Shopify link, and get your very own sexy Picard today. Speaking of sexy, John Orchiola of Screen Rant is here. What is up, John?
Hello, Ryan. That was an incredible intro. Thank you so much. Very happy to be back here with all my lieutenant junior grades, all newly promoted.
Just recently. Thank you for promoting us, by the way. That was sweet. That was sweet. I already feel like we've passed somebody in Star Trek. I can't think who.
K comes to mind.
That's right.
K comes to mind.
Dr. Anne-Marie K. What's up, Anne-Marie?
Sorry, I wasn't even listening because Aaron Walke's in the live chat asking which Prodigy head writer.
You.
Uh-oh, he's going to know we're lying now.
Oh.
He's going to be able to call us out.
He also says he read all of the scripts for Season 5 Discovery, and he agrees with Jonathan Frakes.
No.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Aaron Waltke of Star Trek Prodigy. If you've read
And very short Trek.
All 10 scripts, which I think would make sense because they all want to read each other's scripts to collaborate and make sure everything's working out. Which episode, Aaron, Waltke, Aaron J. Waltke, that is, was your favorite? Without divulging anything,
Ooh.
I think it's episode 7. That's my guess. Oh,
Blank your
my name is
answer.
Ryan T. Husk, by the way, everybody. And if you'd like this shirt, I think I got it like at Target a few years ago. I don't know.
Fetish shirt.
Well, look, let's get started. First thing, we do have some announcements to make. First and foremost, everybody check this out. Did you know that you can also find us as an audio podcast? Wherever you find your audio podcast, you can find Virtual TrekCons, the main viewer. It's recorded live, but then we immediately upload it. So on Tuesday nights, you can get the audio version of this. If you can't finish this episode and you want to listen to the rest of it on the train in Manhattan or in Toronto or Barcelona, this way you can do it. If you can't stay up late, just go listen to us wherever you get your audio podcast. And please make sure to give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We really appreciate that. It helps a ton. And if you're watching us right now, please make sure you like this video, you're subscribed to this channel, and do something nice for somebody later after this.
It looks like Aaron just said he really likes the finale.
Oh, that is good to know. So look, let's start with some Prodigy news, everybody. Let's just get it done, because this is what everybody wants to know. They're like, please don't make us wait till the end. So in the Star Trek Prodigy Facebook group, somebody by the name of Nick Gismondi posted a question. And that question was as follows. He says, is there any news on a home for Prodigy yet? Period, question mark. The funny thing is, I feel like this question is being asked daily. I'm like, just scroll around, you'll find it.
I'm like 1 inch.
Luckily, Aaron Waltke did respond. He said, we are in active talks now. So for anybody that did not know this, they are in active talks now. And they do constantly say things like, it's going well. We're 99% there. We're getting close. It's getting closer. We're doing well. You know, all these kinds of things. So it's all positive, but there is no final answer yet as far as we know publicly. So that's pretty big news, right?
Oh, how did Ryan T. Husk respond?
Who's that's me. With Will Ferrell as Elf, which actually Elf, by the way, is a surprisingly good movie. It's got a really good script. It's actually really good. I thought it was gonna be stupid, but it was good. And it's him going like, I'm so excited. Santa.
I do that like every time I see a world's best coffee sign.
Yes, I was just gonna say, when he walked in, he's like, oh my God, you did it. The world's best coffee.
So good.
And one other order of business, everybody. We did promise everybody that we would have the first imagery for Virtual TrekCon 5, which is coming in February. We've got Virtual TrekCon 5, February 15th through 19th of 2024, with the first and only Star Trek Awards show, which is live, the Lappy Awards. It's all there. It's coming in February. We're already beginning the building of the Lappy Awards. The polling is getting put together. This is a 6-month undertaking, you guys. But the Matt Boardman has already begun creating the first imagery for Virtual TrekCon 5. And here it is.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Ooh.
Wow.
Would you look at that? Everybody listening in are like, it sounds really nice. It's got a very beautiful neon blue type of thing with something that he called chromatic something or other hanging around the edges. He'll let us know in the live chat. You've got the 5. And look at this cool imagery in the background. Isn't that
Mhm.
gorgeous?
This feels very Star Trek 5.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yes. It
It
also
reminds
reminds.
me of the Wrath of Khan's opening credits.
Oh, funny.
Mm.
See,
I
I
get
was
that
thinking,
part.
I was thinking of the ribbon in Generations.
Oh yeah, the ribbon.
The Nexus?
The Nexus. Sorry. Yeah,
The
that's right.
Nexus.
Oh,
Nexus.
pretty.
Now, everybody, here's the big question. In the live chat and in the comments below, look at the color scheme. That is your hint as to what our theme will be for Virtual TrekCon 5. We have a theme, and it's hidden in the imagery of this graphic. So let us know what you think, based on this color scheme, based on this imagery, what you think is the theme for 2024's Virtual TrekCon 5. All right,
Is it
moving
Moopsie?
on. Oopsie.
See.
No. Let's talk about more news, everybody. Let's just get into it here. First things first. This is from our good friends over at screenrant.com. This article is entitled "The Next Star Trek, The Next Generation, Jonathan Frakes' Dream Plan for Star Trek Legacy." Star Trek icon Jonathan Frakes details his blueprint for Star Trek Legacy, which should be the next generation of Star Trek TNG. There's a lot of next generation in there, and I'm intrigued. John Orchiola, you wrote this article. Would you like to give us the summary?
Sure. So this quote comes from an interview that Jonathan Frakes gave to Star Trek Explorer magazine, which came out a couple of weeks ago. All the outlets, including Screen Rant, have been kind of pillaging this interview for quotes and interesting things to write about. But yeah, what's another interesting thing about this interview is that Frakes gave this interview long before he found out that Discovery Season 5 was the final season. So later on, when we talk about Discovery, it's relevant because he didn't know at that point that it was going to be the end, and he directed basically the first half of the season finale, or the series finale, as it were. But this article is him talking about Star Trek Legacy. He was asked about basically how Picard Season 3's finale teed up what Legacy could be with the Enterprise G, 7 of 9, and he was talking about an idea he floated in the past, where basically he wants to be Admiral Riker. He wants to be Charlie to the Charlie's Angels. He wants everybody to come to him maybe once an episode and receive their marching orders, which will allow him to be on the show, but also, more importantly, be backstage directing episodes for Legacy. So here, let me just go into the quote that he actually gave.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so his quote is, "I suspect if Star Trek Legacy does go forward, it would be Jerry Ryan, Michelle Hurd, and Ed Spaliers, who's now in Starfleet, and Mika Burton and Ashley Sharp-Chestnut, who played Geordi's daughters. I would also imagine Lulu Wilson, who played the Riker's daughter in season 1 and was so fabulous, could be a part of it. She could come back and maybe be in Starfleet." Then he adds, "It feels to me like there's a real opportunity."
What's the character's name again?
Kestra.
Kestra, thank you.
Yeah, Kestra.
Dr.
Kestra
Page.
Troy Riker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and he says, "It feels to me like there's a real opportunity for 3 of the Legacy characters' children to carry on and sort of be the next Star Trek, the next generation. It just feels like it's laid out there. It's the blueprint for the next phase." And he's absolutely right.
Yes, actually, it's 4 of the Legacy's children because it's Riker and Troy.
It's true.
Wow, that is. So let's see. Oh, and Crusher too is involved in this, one of those couplings. So that's 5. So who do we need a war? Okay, we need Alexander. And who's Data? Well, Lol, I guess. I mean, well, anybody.
No.
Soji Berry.
He has a living daughter walking around.
Soji.
Soji.
Soji Berry, yeah.
Everybody forgot about Soji. Actually, he has a whole planet of kids. He has a whole planet full of his kids running around.
My God, what a Kirk.
Yeah, so if they could involve Alexander and Soji, they would have everybody. They'd be done. They'd have everybody. and Sela.
Sela.
Sela could come back. She
She could be a
actually
villain.
could. Denise
Yeah.
Crosby could
Yeah.
reprise
And
Sela.
Wesley's
No,
out there.
let's stop
Well,
it. No. Let's
Nope.
not get crazy. No, I'm just kidding.
But also Molly.
And who?
That's Steve. Oh, right. She was born on Next
O'Brien.
Generation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Worf delivered her.
that's right.
Wow, good knowledge. Are we forgetting anybody? Like, we've got everybody covered.
Jason
We could
Vigo, Picard's fake son.
Oh, I like that.
We could have Regina Barkley, you know.
Oh my God.
Regina Barkley, but she would be like the opposite of Reginald Barkley. Like, she'd be a go-getter, she'd be smarmy and aggressive and cocksure, you know what I mean? She'd be like walking around, putting her boots on the desk, you know.
Oh,
You know what
and
happened to Roxanne's
Like
son?
Mariner.
yeah. And Q Jr., Q's kid.
Exactly.
Huge.
I want him on Legacy so badly.
Wow, that is, yeah.
It's a deep cut.
And then if we just want to involve all the people are making suggestions of people outside of Next Generation, like obviously Jake Sisko of Deep Space Nine, is Faith Howell mentioning that. Aaron Waltke's mentioning Naomi Wildman as well. So we could bring in
Captain's
people
assistant. Yeah.
Captain's assistant. Glenn Iverson says Soji got shortchanged. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah. Well, most definitely.
Yeah. I wonder, it feels like it was not always the plan for those characters to get phased out. It feels like Soji and Rios
And Elnor.
Elnor and Girardi.
Yeah.
It feels like when they created that crew in season 1, it felt like that was going to be the crew that was going to take us through 3 seasons. And then it feels like season 2, they decided to pivot and begin to phase them out a bit. Do you have any insight on that, John Orchiola? Because that's what it seems like from the outside.
I mean, I don't have any specific insight, but there is certainly evidence that that creative decision was made partially in response to season 1 and season 2. I mean, I believe when Terry was on The Seventh Rule, he talked a little bit about that, about how when he came on and wanted to be the show and was named showrunner of season 3, his desire was to reunite Next Gen, which he thought should have been what the show Picard should have been all along. And so when that happened, you know, as much as we want everybody, as we just did with everyone's kids, as much as we want everybody in this show doing just hanging out and drinking synthahol,
Playing poker.
Yeah, get rid of the plot.
playing poker and synthahol, just one giant gambling hall on the Enterprise. Financially, it's not feasible, so they had to cut some people.
So Bob D. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. So
Bob D in the live chat says, and a salamander. Yes, that would be the pet. Every show has to have a pet. Their pet would be a salamander.
How dare you? Pet.
Salamander went to. Oh yeah, that's right. Boy, this is getting confusing.
Well, and we can't forget Jake's sibling.
That's right.
Oh yeah,
Jake's
baby
sibling.
Yeah,
baby Sisko would be like in Picard. Well, in Picard, if Legacy picked up where Picard left off, then baby Sisko would be like, I don't know, 16 to 20, right? Because I think Picard takes place 20 years after Nemesis, which is a few years into Deep Space Nine. So yeah, maybe like 17, 18, 19-ish, somewhere in that realm.
Oh, speaking of Deep Space Nine, what about Kirayoshi O'Brien?
I was going to say he could be best friends with friends with Kirayoshi.
Yeah.
I think they'd be right around the same age. And then they could bring back caveman Molly from that one episode.
Yes.
She's gone. She doesn't exist anymore because they rescued.
I think Lower Decks is going to bring back Caveman Molly. So was there anything else with this article here? The summary says Star Trek icon Jonathan Frakes envisions a dream scenario for Star Trek Legacy, which would focus on the children of TNG characters on the USS Enterprise G. Frakes believes that Jerry Ryan, Michelle Hurd, and Ed Spaliers could be part of the cast, along with Mika Burton, Ashley Sharp Chestnut. Frakes himself proposes that his character, Will Riker, could become an admiral overseeing the new voyages, allowing him to appear occasionally while directing episodes and contributing behind the scenes. That's really interesting. So you were saying, John, like Charlie of Charlie's Angels, where he's kind of the admiral that watches over them, or maybe he's a little bit more of a badmiral that kind of scolds people, like an Admiral Nechayev, or she was really the one that would always.
I think Thomas Riker would be the Badmiral Riker.
He's like Claw from Inspector Gadget.
Yes, that's a great reference.
Yeah.
It's Thomas Riker.
So Frakes' an actual quote about Charlie's Angels, which we might as well just read since it's also part of the article here. Is so Frakes' quote is, Riker would have to be a captain and have a ship, or he would be promoted to admiral and be a liaison. I'm only half kidding when I say it would be great for me if the show carries on and I'm like Charlie from Charlie's Angels. They'd have to come to my office once a day or once a week for a meeting with Riker, and that would be perfect. Then I could direct a bunch of episodes and be around the show.
Wow.
So he's really figured it out.
It sounds like he wants to be a creative. It sounds like he wants to be, almost like a producing director at this point, and see if he can kind of lean in a little bit, because that guy's got ideas, and he's like, I'll make pizza. I'll bribe.
Well, he just lost his job on Discovery. He needs another one.
I think as long as new Star Trek is continuing to happen, he will always have a job. I feel like he's definitely earned that at this point.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he is the most beloved director among all of the casts, and with good reason. He's also one of the best directors there ever has been for Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. As evidenced, in my opinion, by the best Star Trek movie ever, First Contact. I think it's the best. A lot of people say it's Star Trek 4. A lot of people say it's Star Trek 2. I don't think anybody says it's Star Trek Beyond, but maybe they're out there.
6 is my favorite.
What did you say, Emery?
6 is my favorite.
I love 6.
But yeah, everybody says that for TNG movies.
Yeah. So here is something along those lines. This is what really, groped my gizzard when I saw this. This from trekmovie.com. Jonathan Frakes says, quote, Star Trek Discovery is back on track. And then he also likens season 5 of Discovery to First Contact, which Aaron Waltke in the live chat just agreed with to one degree or another. I'm shocked by this. Let's read a little bit of this and maybe I'll understand it a little bit better, which, by the way, is a lesson to everybody. Read the article before you share it, just in life. So it reads, Star Trek The Next Generation legend Jonathan Frakes is all over the Star Trek franchise these days, directing the various shows and appearing as Riker in both Lower Decks and more recently in the final season of Picard. His work will next be seen in the 5th and final season of Star Trek Discovery. He directed the first half of the 2-part season and now series finale. In a new interview, Frakes talked about how Discovery changes things up in the final season. So here is his question, or here's his answer. He says, Discovery, by the way, is Indiana Jones this year instead of the heavy emo of season 4.
Oh.
That's interesting. Discovery is back on track as an action adventure show. And I guess they got their marching orders to maintain that. Everybody has embraced it, from co-showrunners Michelle Paradise and Alex Kurtzman down through the cast. There's a new energy, and a new mandate. Okay. First, is right. I don't know. Is he, when he says emo, heavy emo, that almost has a negative connotation. But I do know that Indiana Jones has a very positive connotation. And he's saying that they're going back to being Indiana Jones. Did you guys always view Discovery as Indiana Jones type?
Well, he's not saying they're going back to Indiana Jones. He's saying that they are going to be Indiana Jones in the sense that Discovery Season 5 is a quest story. It's about looking for the greatest treasure in the known galaxy. So there's going to be a lot more, as I understand it, a lot more adventure, a lot more seeking out stuff, a lot more running into the unknown, and probably a lot of hair-raising scenarios that they barely get through and barely survive. So that's kind of what I'm thinking he means by Indiana Jones.
Adventure,
also,
excitement. A Jedi craves not these things.
Wrong franchise.
He also mentions the levity in Indiana Jones and bringing that to Discovery as well, which I think is awesome. And knowing that he took inspiration from films like Jaws and Aliens and Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Blade Runner. I think that he's thinking like Spielberg and Ridley Scott type of style, which emulates First Contact.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to me, Indiana Jones
take inspiration from Star Trek. Star Trek's pretty amazing.
Well, that's already infused in there. Well, I think, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's already part of it. And then which direction? I want them to be like Star Wars and like have like a Jedi. Well, Elnor was almost like a Jedi, kind of.
He was kind of like a Jedi.
He was like a nin Jedi.
Yeah. But I think it's more about taking inspiration from people that inspire you and then infusing it into things that you love as well and making it bigger.
Yeah, and I get the sense Discovery Season 5 is meant to be a bit more fun. Well, I think what he meant by the heavy emo Season 4 was it was a heavy season. You know, it was galactic stakes. The DMA was destroying planets. I mean, it started with Book's planet getting destroyed and him dealing with the trauma of that. And then he and Burnham broke up. And then, he and Dr. Ruwan Tarka basically betrayed the Federation and tried to destroy species 10C. There was a lot of heavy stuff in that season. So I think
I was going to say, John, great job remembering Tarka's first
Great
name.
recap.
I was like, wow, you even remember Tarka's first name. It was gone from my memory.
Oh, well, I've actually had some really cool interactions on Twitter with Sean Doyle, who played Dr. Ruwan Tarka. So that name's infused in my memory because he's such a cool guy.
Awesome.
Well, I'm still not sure how something can be both Indiana Jones and First Contact style. Like, I feel like those are different to me. So I'm going to need to look a little further on this before I decide how I feel about it. Let's see. Oh, is that it?
I think there's more. There's another quote.
He says, it was a thrill for me to try to find some levity in some of those Discovery scenes. That's why First Contact was successful, because you build and then add just a little levity to steam it out so you can restart. That's why Deadpool is such a fabulous franchise, because it doesn't hurt. Audiences can handle levity. The Indiana Jones reference is a perfect example. Nobody did that better than Spielberg. I'm not seeing the quote. Can you guys tell me?
I think he means something like, you broke your little ships.
Yeah. Or, I've never fired a ray gun before.
It's my first ray gun.
It's my first ray gun. Yeah, that's it.
Or Troy. I can't do her drunk quote.
Ryan, that's okay. Ryan can.
What?
You
it's a
love her
primitive culture.
It's a primitive culture. You're blended all right.
A leak? Take a leak?
Yeah, the leak quote's my favorite.
So jokes in Discovery would be fun. Just to see that cast kind of cut loose a bit and not always just have the weight of the galaxy on their shoulders. And Michael crying every episode, which I love Michael, but my gosh,
That's why I love
she
the
goes through
music
the
to
ringer.
make the sanest man go mad. I thought that was like the perfect Discovery episode. Like,
Yeah, that was
it
great.
wasn't. It was just a bottle episode, and you got to have like little character moments, like like talking about like the opera that Culber and Stamets were going to go see, and Tilly's musician phase, and it was just perfect. And Michael going to her first dance, I loved it. So beautiful.
Okay, so Anne-Marie just mentioned Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad as a bottle episode. Everybody in the live chat,
So good.
there are 2 Discovery bottle episodes as far as I know. There's Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad. What is the other one?
The one where they go on the planet in season 2, where they where
Everybody in the live chat.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, because I assumed you guys would know, but maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
You mention it like all the time.
I do, because I like to show off the 4 bits of knowledge that I still retain. Okay. So maybe I'm beating this first contact thing to death. Maybe I'm taking him too literally, but I was just trying to understand, does he mean elements of first contact or just like tone, in that First Contact was kind of an action movie? There was just a lot going on. Maybe that's what they...
I think he means tone as well.
I also need to just go ahead and subscribe to Star Trek Explorer. You can read these. Seems amazing.
It's a really good issue. It's dense. It's packed with stuff. It's 100 pages. There's a lot to read.
What?
Yes, like Larry has a corner. One Trek fan has guest columns sometimes for like collector's corner. I think Larry's is called like Fistful of Data or something cute. And then
yeah.
Oh,
He has like 5 or 6 pages.
Yeah, and then like Lisa Klink will do like short stories. Some of the actual writers from like 90s Trek will do short stories. I think Jake Black has a Nog one coming up in the next issue. Can't wait.
Faith Howell in the live chat says Elnor was like Legolas. I agree 100%. Faith Howell, I do. Because the Lord of the Rings fans stick together. So DJ Kitty Cat in the live chat says the one where Saru gets aggressive on that planet. Yeah, that's the one that I was thinking of. It's called Pavo, I believe was the planet was called. Pavo.
That's season 1 episode.
Yeah, I think season 1, maybe episode 6 or 7. It was right in there.
Yeah.
Not 7, because that's Magic to Make the Same go mad, I think.
I think it
it
was
might have
after.
been the one right after.
Yeah, it was after that. I think it was 8. It may have been 8.
So they did two standalone bottle episodes in a row then.
Maybe that's
It's been a while.
if memory serves. But there's a good where did it go? It was a good
Saw New Eden as a bottle episode
Which one was New Eden?
where they go to the planet and the humans were established a new territory, and they were descendants from World War III.
Yeah, they were beamed there by the Red Angel. That was like episode 2 of season 2.
Yeah, and Owell gets like a little bit of a storyline finally.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. That's a
so
great
Aaron
episode.
Wilkie reminds us.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Always mention it.
It basically
So
set up time travel that the show would do later on.
Okay.
Because New Eden was the target Discovery and Michael were aiming for when they were jumping to the 32nd century, and they missed it by a mile.
Oh, gotcha.
Sounds like a fun one. I'll have to
So Aaron
refresh.
Wilkie says the commercial for Triple Cereal is technically self-contained in the short track Trouble with Edward. But what that reminded me of is that I just learned like last week that commercial was made by Casper Kelly, who's making the very short tracks right now. I
That
didn't realize
rascal.
he had like worked on Star Trek
That tracks.
before.
That totally tracks.
Yeah.
That was his like interview or his like audition.
Yeah, what about, I feel like he may
He
have done
nailed it.
more. But did he do any of the other short treks or just that commercial?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
So
I saw that referenced on StarTrek.com last week.
Aaron also follows up about the comparison from Discovery to First Contact. He says, I meant in tone, action, humor, high concept adventure, and character moments of drama. Yeah, I think that must be what they also meant, because I'm such a nitpicker. The second they said somebody compared it in any way to First Contact, I'm like, all right, you just
listening.
Well, I'm also like unsure. I'm like excited,
right.
but also, so I don't know, because maybe I'm just too. It's not like Star Trek fans to be defensive about their favorite stuff,
Amazing.
Not at all.
Yeah, we're nerds. All right. Muhammad said New Eden was season 2, episode 2. That's Dr. Muhammad, nor occasional Star Trek science advisor for Discovery and others. He says New Eden was season 2, episode 2, the episode with the church. Yeah, I vaguely remember it. Okay.
It's a great episode.
And they had really good stained glass on the church.
Yeah, it was a Pike heavy episode that it was.
I remember it now. Yes, you're right. And they had like that push and pull between Burnham and Pike about the religion and the science and all that.
Yeah. It's so TOS who mentions Eden like every other episode. Now they're watching TOS. Oh my gosh, like Eden Fest.
Excellent knowledge, everybody. Excellent knowledge. I feel smarter already. I'm sure that'll pass. But so let's move on. Here's another thing that I found to be very interesting. It is an article by slashfilm.com. And by the way, I love that Star Trek is being covered so vastly by things like Variety, /film. Screen Rant is the best of the best. But it's being covered everywhere. Time Magazine, Sports Illustrated did a whole article on
Food and Wine. Covered like
Food and Wine.
Kitchen. That was amazing.
Wine.
That's great. When I went to my
one of my
Ralph's
dreams is to write for Food and Wine and cover Star Trek for Food and Wine.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That should be
only cover Star Trek for Food and Wine.
I want to see the Sports Illustrated issue of Star Trek.
Yeah, it had a whole page layout of Riker and his dad doing ambo jitsu, and like the rules, and they were like shirtless, like glistening. It wasn't that hot actually. Come to think of it, now that I'm remembering what it looked like.
Oh, I know.
So look, this is from slashfilm.com. It is entitled, Voyager's Roxanne Dawson had a chance to direct Star Trek, but dropped it for another show. This one says, God, I get a lot of bra and panty commercials or whatever these things are.
Timu is. They're like spamming all over the place suddenly.
I don't know what it is either. It seems like
I
some
don't
kind
even
of app.
trust when they have an X, but it's not some trick.
And it reads, Star Trek has a long and proud history of having its star actors make the leap to the other side of the camera and flourish as directors in their own right. None other than Spock himself, Leonard Nimoy, took the reins on both Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and its follow-up, The Voyage Home. Not to mention the various other films he would go on to direct, and almost direct too. Jonathan Frakes, who portrayed the irrepressible William Riker on The Next Generation and Star Trek Picard and Lower Decks, also tried his hand at directing and would quickly become a franchise and Enterprise, a franchise regular in the director's chair throughout various other Trek shows and movies as well. But Star Trek Voyager gave way to a truly unique career, which saw Roxanne Dawson go from playing the fiery half Klingon, half human B'Elanna Torres to finding great success as a gun-for-hire television director. This is where it gets juicy. With directing efforts on shows like Voyager, Enterprise, Lost, which was a great one. Lost to this day is one of the best pilots ever written. In the first 10 seconds of the first episode, you are hooked and you remain hooked. until like, it gets a little messy. But Lost, if you want to learn how to write pilots, watch Lost season 1, episode 1. It's a screenwriting clinic, in my opinion.
If I can add to that, that's
Yes.
directed by J.J. Abrams.
Heard
that
of him.
episode. Yep. And it is, I 100% agree with you. I actually thought it was the best film of 2000, whatever year that was, 2004, 2006. I'm not sure what year it came out, but I thought it was the best film of that year, even though it was
TV
TV
show.
pilot.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
That pilot is absolutely incredible on every level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The second you put it on, you're just like, no spoilers to anybody that hasn't seen it yet, but in those first couple seconds, you're just hooked. You're watching minute by minute, second by second. Perfect. Okay, so let's continue on with that. I was only going off on a Lost tangent because it was directed by J.J. Abrams, as John Ardiola points out to save me. Throws out a nice, what's that thing that they throw out? Life preserver? What are those little donuts?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Throw me another life preserver. I'm dying over here. She was most recently put in charge of 2 pivotal episodes of Foundation Season 2, the Apple TV Plus sci-fi series based on Isaac Asimov's novels. In an exclusive interview with Slash Film, our very own Vanessa Armstrong was recently able to speak with Dawson about the possibility of returning to the Trek fold. Here's what Roxanne Dawson said. I have thought about it, and they have kindly also come to me about a few of the shows. But I think at the time they were starting to come out, I hadn't done science fiction in a while, and I was trying to move away from that. I didn't feel a need to go back. And then this science fiction show, Foundation, came up. So this was the first science fiction that I'd done in a while. It's not very convincing to me. So she also continues. And I remember, I probably shouldn't say this, but one of the first Foundation creator, David Goyer, one of the first things Foundation creator David Goyer said to me, he goes, we're not going to be shooting Trek here. This is not Star Trek. I went, yes, I understand. And I was kind of like, well, have you really seen Star Trek? The current versions of Star Trek, I think, are wonderful.
I love that she's saying she watches current Star Trek.
I'm almost taking it a different way. Like, it sounded like he's like, we're not making Star Trek. She's like, no. But have you seen the new stuff? It's wonderful. What?
Yeah, I got that too. Kind of. I did get that too. Initially, I was like,
she's so gracious.
Visit the old stuff too, because it's wonderful.
Yeah. The old stuff is like
wonderful.
Where you learn how to sci-fi, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi done right.
The old stuff is also wonderful. Let's be clear about that.
Which she says like later on, and also when Trek Movie covers this, but then like a couple other like directing clinics that she did where they like got the panels that she was on. And I mean, I'll just go ahead and say, like, she goes on to say like how amazing the gift is that Star Trek gave her, and like learning how to be a director. And in like the most, like, she was like, it was such a unique gift because it basically everybody there wanted you to succeed and like really was supportive and there for you so that you could learn along the way, as opposed to like just a random job where nobody cares. So I think that's just that kind of atmosphere. I feel like Star Trek should get so much credit for creating for its like up and coming directors, especially the women. That they
How many other shows ever have created this many directors, have been like a breeding ground for directors, you know? So,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
And they're continuing this trend into the new Star Trek realm as well. They're pulling from the pool of people that they worked with and giving them work still, which is great, and letting people try their hand at new vocations, I guess. which is great. It's a great tradition to uphold, I think.
Yeah, I heard the people among the people that are directing Discovery season 5, Shazad Latif, Riley Alazraki, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Naomi Wildman, Murph, they're all scheduled.
Murph is a diva behind the camera.
But he's got a good eye for color.
But not just direction. That's a little bit too literal. I'm saying in general, there are people stepping outside of the box. I mean, look at Tawny Newsome. She's a writer now. You know, so they are continuing on the tradition of allowing their actors to branch off into different roles.
And speaking of that tradition really quickly, one of the great things about the Rick Berman era of Star Trek in the 90s was that they did two amazing things. They actually produced, they allowed people who wanted to be screenwriters but did not have professional credits to submit spec scripts, and then they would actually produce those scripts. That's how we got Ronald D. Moore, among other people. And then they also did directing school. Actors who wanted to learn how to direct got to learn how to direct, and that's how we got Jonathan Frakes and Roxanne Dawson and Robert Duncan McNeil. And and we would have had Dominic Keating, and I think Connor Trenier too, had Enterprise been able to continue past season 4.
Just want to point out one quick comment in the live chat. Faith Howell says, Roxanne Dawson did Foundation. I'm watching that. I can always tell Roxanne's work. They're always the best episodes. And I do want to agree with Faith there that Roxanne is another one of the amazing directors that Star Trek has churned out, with this extremely supportive company and group and franchise that creates writers. It brings people in and turns them into staff writers or showrunners even, and it has actors, and turns them into directors. It gives everybody a chance. And I remember when I first found out that Roxanne Dawson was directing, was way back in the Enterprise days. I don't remember what the episode was or what. There was some kind of featurette I was watching, and it was showing Roxanne Dawson behind the camera and directing, an episode of Enterprise. There was something to do with Enterprise, and it was kind of interviewing her, and I was like, damn, she really knows her stuff. And she looked like badass because she had like a hat on, her glasses, her hair in a ponytail. She looked like she was ready for war. Yeah, she looked like she was ready for battle. It was great. So good on her there.
And storyboarders turning into directors too.
Yes, absolutely. As we found out in Lower Decks just recently, season 4, episode 3, Brandon Williams, that was his very first directed episode, as his directorial debut. And we had him on the 7th Rule talking about that episode with us. So go check that out. That's a few days ago, the most recent episode. I want to finish up this quote from Roxanne Dawson. It continues. Well, have you really seen Star Trek? The current versions of Star Trek, I think, are wonderful. I've seen Discovery. I've seen Picard. I think there's such wonderful and modern work being done there right now that we really can't categorize it in the way that we might have in the 90s. But no, I haven't really wanted to go back. I feel like I've been there and I've done that, and I love moving on to other things. So that's where I am with it. That makes me sad.
Really fast, Aaron Wilkie said on Prodigy, they made a point to promote from within and give Trek scripts to people outside of the writing staff to help them learn the craft. They hired the youngest Trek writer in history in season 2. So cool.
Wow.
Alex.
I love that.
Awesome.
Continuing the legacy of Star Trek, being like, Star Trek is basically like Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Starfleet Academy for the entertainment industry. Look at people like Terry Matalas.
Exactly.
He started off as a PA on Voyager, I think, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or even like DC Fontana, like started out as an assistant, I think on Lieutenant, and then
Yeah.
switched over, was an assistant, but got hired as for writing. Just
Lisa
amazing,
Klink.
especially at a time when women weren't writers.
Jerry
Mhm.
Taylor,
Right.
lots of big ones. Okay, so I don't know. I'm kind of sad about that. Just to be perfectly honest, I want Roxanne Dawson to direct something. Honestly, I feel like she could direct a Lower Decks episode. I feel like she could direct Discovery. I feel like she could direct, Star Trek Legacy. Not that we know anything about it or if it's happening, but I feel like she could have her hand in there. I'm not sure about Prodigy. That's a different feel, but maybe.
Starfleet Academy.
Well, and I would love to see her perspective brought to life on screen again. Because I feel like that her perspective might differ from some of the directors that we might currently have now. Not saying anything bad about them, but I like to look at things from a different perspective and from other people's points of view, and I think that she would bring that uniqueness to an episode or two or three.
Mm-hmm. So
And
everybody in the live chat,
that LeVar Burton is a director.
Yes,
Right.
LeVar.
Right.
We just
even Dorn directed, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. They all
and
did.
Renee.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I think Sir Patrick Stewart did one or two.
Yes.
Yeah, and Gates.
Avery Brooks.
Mhm.
Gates.
Yes, Avery.
Oh, tons.
So everybody in the live chat, if Roxanne Dawson were to come back and say, okay, I'll do 2 episodes of Star Trek, what series would you want her to direct? Would it be, would it be what would be the best fit, or what would you
Same.
just enjoy the most? Strange New Worlds might be a good one too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would have said Discovery as well,
Mhm.
like Anne Marie.
That ship may have sailed.
Imagine Roxanne Dawson
know.
directing. Imagine Roxanne Dawson directing a Starfleet Academy episode Tawny Newsome wrote.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. It was also covered by trekmovie.com.
I mean, I just included that because they had those extra quotes, which I kind of summarized.
Same quote. Let me see if there's anything new.
But it's
Same
also
quote.
really cool to see like the Directors Guild having her come as a special speaker, like for different combinations of people at different stages of their directing careers. It's just, she's such an inspiration. It's
She
amazing.
was speaking at the Directors Guild just a few months back. So she's definitely highly touted amongst her peers, which is
So
great.
Mm.
Here's another quote. Nope, that's we already covered that one. Here it is. She says, I am the luckiest director out there because I began a directing career with people who didn't want me to fail, that wanted me to succeed. Paramount became my school. You learn so much from watching other directors tackle problems. And then she goes on to say, that's the wonderful thing about being an episodic director. If you do several shows in a season and they're all different, I mean, you get to just jump into all these different ways of shooting and study them and get good at them and embrace them. And I think that is the gift of being an episodic director, and also the obligation to really take that seriously and to learn and study every show that you're going into, and to make sure that you understand their visual language and make it happen with your own twist. That's a really interesting point, is if you're directing something like Voyager or Enterprise, for example, episodic shows, you are directing a comedy, and 4 weeks later, you're directing a horror episode.
Mhm.
And then 7 weeks later, you're directing the holodeck episode of the week with, or a time travel episode. Like, that's really got to be fun, but also petrifying.
Mm.
Really cool. I've been listening to a lot of Enterprise Incidents, which is the TOS review podcast with Scott Vance, and they've been having Ralph Sinetsky on, who directed like 7 episodes of TOS. He's in his 90s and has like the best memory ever. And it's just like incredible hearing from different directors from different like series starting from back then and how different TV was back then. It's just mind-blowing. Can't recommend those Ralph Sinetsky like Enterprise Incident episodes enough. And also sometimes Larry interviews him. He just had on the Trek Files. I love hearing from these directors. And also like when the directors are super successful and amazing, oftentimes they're too busy to be like going to conventions and doing interviews and things. So we sort of like don't hear from them about their amazing careers as much at the time. So it's nice that she's been doing some interviews and we're getting to hear more from her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would be interesting to watch her on set and see how she operates and and how she talks to actors and how she talks to everyone. And yeah, that's always fun to watch.
So these little rascals in the live chat, you know how Star Trek fans are. You go, what would you like Roxanne Dawson to direct? Discovery, Prodigy, Strange New? What do you got? And of course, you know, Star Trek fans are like, all of them. Yay.
Yes.
We want all Star Trek.
Honestly, if
rascals.
there wasn't a director attached to the Michelle Yeoh one, I feel like that would be a good match.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think there is a director attached.
No, there is. There's Olatunde. It's Ola. Right?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Right.
Olatunde
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who has directed Discovery, but I think he also did some Picard as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he's the supervising director of Discovery. I think he's the top guy.
And he's directed the second half of the finale, and then Jonathan Frakes did the first. Half. Yeah.
Brent Harris says Legacy. Lucia Raz says Strange New Worlds. John Davis says Strange New Worlds. Chris Gavin says Strange New Worlds. BL says Strange New Worlds. Peter C says Lower Decks. May Borello says Legacy. They're all going for the serious ones. We've never seen. Have we seen
Academy at some point? But it's fun.
Have we ever seen her direct anything comedic?
I don't know. But she could do something on Strange New Worlds that lends itself to comedy, because Strange New Worlds does lend itself not only to drama but to comedy as well.
All right, so let's move on. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the live chat. They're celebrating something. They are they're drunk right now, you guys. They are just Tuesday drunk. They're like, it's Tequila Tuesday.
I think Tuesday. It might have been to Aaron Walke's deleted.
Aaron Walke did just say here that Roxanne Dawson's character definitely helped design the protostar.
Yes. Awesome. Oh, no, I thought she had designed Dauntless, right?
Well, he says a protostar.
He says protostar. Well, maybe she probably did both.
So cool.
Wow, really? I don't see that.
Oh, it's...
Oh, there it is.
Pretty recent.
Yeah, he says, well, Roxanne Dawson's character definitely or did help design the protostar. Okay. Boy.
Like an engineer.
Every time Aaron Waltke gives us an answer to something, it's insidious, because all it does is make me want to ask 5 more questions. Like I go, that was a satisfying little nugget. I just go, it's like a salty chip. I eat one and I'm just like, I need like 6 or 7 more right now.
But Aaron Waltke also speaks in canon. Everything he says is canon.
I know. I was just about to say, but it's canon. Anything Aaron Walke says is canon.
That's exciting. I hope we get a B'Elanna Torres cameo in Prodigy, because it's absolutely possible in every way.
It's going to happen.
Absolutely.
I fully expect it.
All right. So let's move on, because otherwise I'm just going to keep talking nerdy talk about everybody I want to show up in Prodigy, because that's what we do. Right. Okay. So this article is a ScreenRant.com article written by John Orchiola. Yeah, that's the best stuff. And it is entitled Mr. Chekhov actor Walter Koenig reveals if he would return to Star Trek. John Archiola, as the writer of this article, can you please enlighten us? I don't know anything about this story.
Well, back on Friday, there was this podcast called Star Trek and Chill that just happened to have Walter Koenig come on, and it also
That's a
happened
fun
to be his
name.
birthday. It is a fun name, very
You
whimsical.
only turn 87 once.
And then during this podcast, around the 15-minute mark, one of the hosts, this guy named Ryan T. Husk, asked Walter Koenig that if Star Trek were to call him and offer him to come back for a season or an episode or something, would he want to come back to Star Trek? And Walter took a moment to consider his answer. And then he said, well, and then he yelled at the top of his lungs, the loudest, most emphatic yes I've ever heard.
You.
Yeah,
I think
his
it should be
mic
like a
cracked.
His mic cracked, yes.
Yeah,
Dogs barked all over the neighborhood.
he was all for it. And so again, as Star Trek fans, my first thought is I try to like place him. Look, the most obvious answers to me are Lower Decks and Prodigy, because it's easy. He could actually reprise his character, at any age, as in him being at any age. He can't reprise himself as a 7-year-old Chekhov. And maybe he could. I don't know.
Can
He's
I add something to
talented.
that? Actually, can I add something of why I want that to happen? Is because I'm not sure if we canonically know how far Pavel Chekhov went in Starfleet. Did he become an admiral? Did he, he started, like, the last time we actually see Pavel Chekhov is in Generations. And he's a commander there? Is he a captain? Like, how far did he actually go?
Well, according to Picard, he is an admiral.
Well, that was
Yeah.
Anton Chekhov.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
right.
President,
Right,
that's
right,
President
right.
Anton
Yeah,
Chekhov.
sorry.
That's his son.
Just-
It's either his son or his grandson. So,
Yeah.
But
Right.
how
But it's
far
an-
did
And we don't know,
Pavel
like,
go canonically?
He could have been relicsed. He could have been metamorphosed.
Even relics.
Like,
Or
there's
too
so
mixed.
many
Even
things.
too mixed.
Too mixed.
But like we see people like who get frozen in time in all the series, like who are discovered in some weird anomaly. So it could have happened at any age. And it could make
Well,
sense like in any time period.
Yeah. Aaron Walke says, Mr. Koenig, you have been heard. I like this.
I like
canon.
where, to
It's
quote
canon.
the great Quagmire on Family Guy, I like where this is going.
Yeah. Plus I like that there's a period at the end. Perfect. So packed.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I had something to say, but now I'm lost in the thought of Chekhov returning
Mhm.
to, this is what I want. I remember now. Okay. So they're out on the Protostar and they're like, oh, we found a
Gone, dude.
Dauntless. They're out somewhere in space and they see a ship floating around. Okay. I don't have all the details. I'm not, you may find this surprising, but I have nothing to do with Star Trek. I'm not a writer on their shows. I wish I were, but this is what I would do. Have them show up at some beat up old ship and they find something trapped in their transporter. They pull them out and it's Chekhov, just like Scotty in
When he got
Relics,
relics.
right? And then they pull out another guy. Let's say it's
Oh,
Barkley, and
I
he's
remember.
holding a giant worm, or whatever. What was that episode where he's holding the giant worm?
It's so scary. That thing gave me nightmares.
What was that episode?
I can't remember the title. I'm blocking on it.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I've watched it like very few times because there's so many nightmares. That worm was so creepy. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the people
Yeah,
to let
live
us
chat.
know, but no. Somebody knows it and they will tell us. Look, also, oh yeah, okay. So the summary that you wrote, John, is as follows. Walter Koenig is eager to return to the Star Trek franchise and continue his acting career despite his age. Koenig expresses his deep desire to perform and be appreciated as an actor, emphasizing the importance of creativity and self-exploration.
Mhm.
While unable to directly mention Star Trek due to an ongoing strike, Koenig's response affirms his enthusiasm for the opportunity to bring new life to a character and connect with audiences. Now, of course, there's always in live action, he could just be a different character. That's always possible. That's always happy. That's always fun. He doesn't have to be Chekhov. Of course, us nerds want to see Chekhov back, but if he just wants to come back as some old farmer or, or the admiral of the day, or somebody, some part of a tribunal, they could put like a prosthetic on his head and he could be part of some alien tribunal. There are a lot of
You
things
could play
that,
hacky sack. I'm kidding.
yes, I don't know. Well, we could try. We'll see what happens. I'm sure Walter's watching right now and he's like, I can still hacky sack. If you don't believe me, I'll show you. You watch me. I've got a great left foot.
Oh, he's so cute.
So we tweeted about this. We said we tweeted about Walter Koenig's response, and we said, hey, what would you like to see Walter Koenig come back? And somebody by the name of Marcus Henry McLaughlin said, a new animated series with George Takei and Walter Koenig set in the early TNG era would rule. So we're talking about like first or second season, maybe.
Below Decks.
Below Decks.
Even like set during season 1 when like allegedly Chekhov was below Decks and that's why Khan knew him.
Well, no, he would be.
Wait.
Yes.
So,
but this is early TNG era, so they would be super
TNG.
old.
So
Yes,
in
this
this
would be
time period,
upper deckers.
in
Those
this
of you that
time
have been
period,
college
Kirk-
students know what an upper decker is. Sorry, go ahead, John.
No, in this time period, early TNG era, Kirk is in the Nexus. So is this just like Chekhov and Sulu like constantly high-fiving that Kirk is gone? And like,
Oh, I like this is a fun idea.
because kind of reflect real life.
Yeah, Melissa laughed a little too hard at that one. I wonder what's going on there.
That was a little, wow, that's a little scandalous.
Mhm. So also on Twitter is a bit of news. Check this out. Our good friend, writer, producer of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Bill Walkoff, at flying_lobster. He keeps everybody updated on everything that's going on with the strike. He is out. His name is Bill Walkoff because he doesn't just talk the talk. He walks the frickin' walk like a champ. He wears ties always. He likes fish. It says, day 141, I've been here since 6 a.m. watching the studio where Dancing with the Stars is produced. We'll be ready to pick it if they go to air. It's a WGA show. Hopefully they'll take a cue from Drew, J. Hud, The Talk, and Bill and honor our picket line. So this is always just a nice person to follow, everybody, at Flying Lobster, because he will keep you updated as to everything that's going on with strikes, with where people are, what they're doing. You know, you can watch as they go from t-shirts and tank tops to sweaters and jackets as the weather cools.
Always the tie.
Yeah, hopefully not too much longer now, but great follow. We love Bill Walkoff.
Such dedication, total inspiration.
Boy, John Orchiola, I hope you get paid by the article, because here's another article from
Prolific.
screenrant.com. And I would love for you to explain this one to us. It's entitled, Hemmer's Star Trek Comeback is the weirdest Strange New World episode yet. You should have said Hemmer's Star Trek Comeback is the strangest Weird New Worlds episode yet.
Oh, I can't use strange twice in the headline. It looks weird.
That's
So-
strange.
That's
So
the reason
tell
for
us
that.
about this.
Well, that's last week's very short Trek. What was it titled?
Holiday Party.
Holiday Party. That's right. I'm trying to find the article here. My computer's freezing up. But yeah, so that's based off of the very short Trek set on the Strange New Worlds Enterprise, which Ethan Peck and Celia R. Rose Gooding provided the voices of Spock and Uhura, and then they were joined by Bruce Horak, who came back as Hemmer. So it's set in season 1 of Strange New Worlds, and if you watched it, it is a very, very strange, weird episode. It's funny, but it's effed up.
It's funny.
Yeah. So basically, Spock does a little presentation based on what he thinks a blooper reel is, and it's just basically a bunch of people getting murdered, and which he thinks is funny. And also,
I mean,
him being dumped by T'Pring, which he also weirdly thinks is funny. But even though he cries in the episode,
Oh my gosh.
But that's the funny part of it. It's because he's so serious about his blooper reel. It's like,
actually, there's going to be the third very short Trek coming out just tomorrow. And actually, I heard
Wow.
T'Pring's last name is Oles.
oh,
Once
Makes
you
me
pop,
hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
comes out at 10 a.m. Pacific.
I've seen it. I've seen episode 3. It is weirder than this. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Yeah.
wow.
The other fun thing is that Bonnie Gordon plays some of the like incidental voices. So she's like,
Yeah.
it's so TAS to have like an actor doing multiple roles. I just love-
Yes.
she's like the new Majel.
James
I love it.
Doohan, that guy just did
Yeah.
everything. Every
And
single
Majel.
time they would have, right? Every time they would have a new alien character, it would just be James Doohan going, well, I don't know. Every time he would go, well, he would pronounce the H in front of the W, and you're like, that's Jimmy. That's him every darn time.
I also just heard him doing like other voices on TOS, which I didn't realize he had done. Like when there's like a almighty being.
I did not know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
That's really fun.
It's really cool.
He's amazing.
So,
Like did we play like Trelane's parents or something in that
Oh,
episode?
maybe. I just know the one where like actually Diana Muldaur, when she comes on and she's like a total sex pot. And they're like 3 of them are inhabited by these like very
Goodness.
old beings. Yeah. Scotty does like the voice, the out of body voice in the beginning. That was pretty
Ryan didn't know Dr. Pulaski was a sex pot back in the 60s.
Oh my god!
heard
I was
that,
like,
Gorgeous.
I wish she was a sex pot
gorgeous.
in Next Generation.
what an actor! Like,
Yeah.
what a freaking range! It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Let's make an announcement right now, everybody, with
Oh, and
regards
also I will
to
say, just because like I don't want to. She's also a doctor in that episode, and it's so, like of xenobiology or something, but so progressive that they did that. Anyway,
Yeah.
and she's great. I don't mean to belittle her role, but oh my god. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so
no,
announcements.
not at all. Well, we're out of time for announcements. I was gonna make that really big one, but we only had that 30-second window. You ever hear people say window?
Yeah,
Window?
my grandma.
Yeah, I bet the
Grandma
same
says
people
window.
that say window also say Thursday,
Yeah,
right? What is that, like a Midwest thing?
she's from
Clo-
Ohio, so then
Okay, you got to close the window. It's been open since this Thursday.
Yep.
And then you got to wash it.
yeah.
Really? She says all those things? I got to meet this lady. She is a national treasure.
She's amazing. You should hear her talk about pranking spam callers.
She's like, it won't be ready till Tuesday. Okay, look. The announcement is, everybody, with regards to the very short treks. There are 5 of them. The third one is about to drop tomorrow.
Mhm.
The fourth one is going to drop in 8 days. The fifth one's going to drop in 15 days. I'll just bet. And then we'll be done with all those. I think they go till October 2nd or something like that. October 4th. Anyway, the point is,
October 4th.
everybody has been clamoring. We have heard you. The answer is yes. The very short treks will be represented in the 2024 Lappy Awards, if they make the cut, of course. But
Yeah,
they
we're
will
getting
be
100%.
involved in the voting. They will be part of the voting. So watch the very short treks. Enjoy them. Get some popcorn, have some fun, watch them twice, dissect them. Look, they're 3, 4, 5 minutes long. These are bonuses that Star Trek is giving you. Enjoy these bonuses for what they are. They're not canon. It keeps being said over and over again. That's important to remember. But they are being released by Star Trek, and people will be able to vote on them. So that should be fun. John Davis says, yay. Just Rosie says, woohoo. Lucia says, yes. And Faith Howell says, yay, short lappies. All right. What's next in the news? Our preview of Lower Decks. Season 4, episode 4. Here it is. This is from trekmovie.com. Everybody check this out. Here is Tendi, T'Lyn, and Mariner hanging out together. Tendi is summoned back to Orion for a wedding.
Which
Looks
we've never been to before, I don't think.
Mhm.
Right. I've been waiting for this my entire life, I feel like.
I actually have. So exciting.
Carrie Walgren as Elcars, Fred Tetashore
What?
as Risic,
Wow.
What? How did I not notice this when I looked at this earlier? What?
and Vanessa Marshall as Deborah.
That's
She's
hilarious.
from the island Deborah, which is near
Deborah.
Tahiti.
Nikki Deborah.
Even better. So this is interesting. So here's another image here. It's got all 5 of the lower deckers, and I'm so happy there are 5 now instead of 4. And they're gathered around looking at something that Tendi is showing them on a pad. Then we've got another one with Boimler and Rutherford being very friendly and doing pointers. Oh, look, there's a little Kirk.
Huh.
Kirk
Yeah,
with the
they're
green.
Isn't that an archer? Or no?
Oh, maybe it's an
That's
archer
Is
right.
it Mirror?
It's Mirror
Well, he-
Archer.
with the green and the phaser.
Yeah.
Good knowledge.
Yeah. It's
He's
Mirror
got
Archer.
a couple of them though.
Oh,
right?
and I see a plate here. I wonder if that's a Tom Paris
Mhm.
plate right there.
Yeah. Only because we could see it in last week's episode.
Yeah. And oh boy, the honeymoon's over. We got Rutherford and Boimler fighting
They're
over a
cackling.
It's
squirt
Jake and
bottle.
Nog.
Yes.
2.0.
They're cakeoing.
Like their
Although,
little bonsai tree.
yes, but although you'll remember that there's another Star Trek character that used to enjoy pruning little plants and trees. Who is that Star Trek character?
Are you TOSing us? Oh.
From the episode Cause and Effect, Beverly Crusher. Remember before she went to bed, she would do that little snip,
Oh.
that little
Oh,
snipperoo.
wait,
Oh.
Tess?
I was thinking of Boothby, the gardener at Starfleet Academy.
That's even better. Yeah, it's a good
I was
one.
thinking that too. Boofy, but he is a gardener.
Right, exactly. He
Then
enjoys gardening.
we've also got an image of T'Lyn, Tendi, and Mariner being carried
Okay.
around by some very well coiffed Orion males. Look at how well coiffed these guys are.
Orions are going to be at STLV next year. Can't wait.
Finally, I get to be an Orion. I get to well coif myself and wear a vest. And then I'm already most of the way there with my name. Okay, and lastly, this is something that actually, John, you did. Wow, you were busy. This is also you. This is all you and Anne-Marie. Melissa and I are just gonna eat our cheese puffs.
Well, I mean, we don't have to go into details about like the show, but it obviously has to get mentioned because it's about to come back in November.
Yes.
It's entitled For All Mankind, Season 4, Release Date, Trailer, Story, and Everything We Know. Wow, that's a lot.
And also,
Right.
hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
So, yeah, you're right. Everybody listening in or watching, just go to screenrant.com and check out that article about For All Mankind, because we know a lot of Star Trek people work on For All Mankind. Also, give John Orchiola some of those clicks. Things get measured in clicks a lot of times. Kind of like high school, but different.
I'm excited you're covering For All Mankind. Like, I can't wait for the coverage.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on my agenda.
It's
When I took
so
over Star
fun.
Trek, at Screen Rant, it became kind of an all-encompassing job. And so I had to give up a lot of the other things I like to write about, just to focus 100% on Star Trek. But my team is getting bigger and they're really, really good. And I feel like I'm gonna, in a few weeks, be able to kind of scale back just a little, take my foot off the throttle a bit and look at other things I want to do, because there's stuff coming up that I really want to write about also, like For All Mankind, like the Gilded Age, like other things, other interests that we share, Anne-Marie, that have nothing to do with Star Trek.
Gilded Age coverage.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll tie it into Star Trek somehow. But Donna Murphy's in it. But
I love her.
what I really love about it is about From Mankind is that it's a Ronald D. Moore show, and it really starts feeling like halfway through season 1, kind of like he even had made a comment like back then, like it sort of was like how he had envisioned Enterprise starting off. Like obviously it's an alternate future show, but a lot of it can be like that is probably how we would have gotten to space if he had taken over, and it would have just been set a little bit in the future. But it's so well done.
It's so good. It's so good.
Sometimes Star Trek people are in it. Like host Linda Park did she was like a newscaster and did some of the like between season little like extras on Apple TV. It's so well done. I love it.
Yeah,
So
for those of you who
mentioned Star
don't
Trek.
watch, every season starts about 10 years after the previous season. And then there's a montage at the start of the season that explains like the alternate history of the things that happened in the 10 years that we missed. And it's always like the weirdest stuff, but also like really clever stuff. And then like really surprising stuff. Like, I won't ruin anything, but the Beatles have a different fate, for instance. A lot of
Also, Star Trek still happens so far.
Yeah.
We're up to the 90s. They had like Wrath of Khan and they loved it. Like
it's a great stuff.
Yeah.
So everybody in the live chat, let us know if you watch For All Mankind and if you like it, without saying hi, Bob. Just tell us
It's impossible.
if you've watched it on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it? And in the comments below, let us know the same thing. If you have seen For All Mankind, give us a scale of 1 to 10 on it. Because I still have only seen the first episode.
Like Space Command room, and everybody always says like it is so spot on accurate for like I think it starts like in the 60s, and just like spot on accurate for what the room looked like, and then now like how they envision what it would look like as every 10 years. But yeah, and make sure you tell friends, because for some reason it just hasn't had like the PR that it should be.
You don't have any friends. That's a Lord of the Rings quote. It's Gollum. Gollum.
It's so well done. Oh my God, it's so good.
The impression? Thanks. So just to close out, everybody, check this out. At Back of the Head on Twitter says, you better believe I'm making it so. Thank you, CBS Home Entertainment, because he got over 2.5 hours of special features, certified fresh Rotten Tomatoes, Star Trek Picard, the final season. Get yours today. I don't know if that's what they say anymore.
They do.
Oh, good. But then, which brings us very quickly and lastly to an article from StarTrek.com entitled and summarized in the title with Star Trek Strange New World Season 2 arrives on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K UHD December 5th. Go behind the scenes with over 2 hours of special features, including exclusive deleted and alternate scenes, and so much more. So that's the news there. You get the gist of it right there. Don't need to get into it too deeply. Let's talk about this week very quickly.
Well, really fast, I will say.
Yeah.
They're like, the special features are interesting, and they did like there aren't as many like commentaries for the episodes because of the strike, which is a good excuse to go back and watch some Seventh Rule Strange New Worlds reviews, because you guys basically have amazing commentary to every episode with cool guests and directors and writers and actors. So can't recommend that enough.
Excellent point.
There's also an alternate version of Bruce Horak's Klingon song on the special feature.
Yes. Which everybody needs, obviously.
The Klingons, a song.
Yes,
That's
it.
The
Yeah.
song.
Yes, it's by Ben Sisko.
No, who was it that sang
Sisko.
the song? Oh, yes, that's
Sisko.
right.
Yeah, it's
Sisko,
Ben
that's
Sisko.
right. All right.
It's the third Sisko brother.
Yes. We better get the heck out of here now before it gets weird around here. So look, on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel, we just released yesterday our full review of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2, Episode 8, A Matter of Honor, with very special guest, the legendary Michael Westmore, who did the makeup on the Benzites and all the amazing aliens that you know and love in Star Trek. Remember, this was the episode where Wesley thought all Benzites looked the same. Tisk, tisk. Great episode, great guest. Check that out.
Okay, I have to say, like, too, it's a very must watch, because there's this little tidbit where he says that his daughter Mackenzie helped him invent like a little part of the Benzite makeup, and it's just adorable. I love
That's
them.
right. I remember. That's great. Good point. Now, tomorrow, Wednesday, at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time, go to the Falling Tower YouTube channel. How do you find that? Type Falling Tower. One word is usually best. Falling Tower, one word, and that is the YouTube channel, or just youtube.com/Falling Tower. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time to watch the first podcast. We are finishing up, Dr. Mohammed Noor and I are finishing up Saturday morning cartoons month, okay, with The Real Ghostbusters. The Real Ghostbusters. So check that out. Our special guest is Peter Holmstrom, writer and podcaster from the Trexperts Briefing Room with Lisa Klink. So check him out. He's also got a brand new book out. Get all that information on Wednesday. You're going to love it. Great dude. We love him and his show, the Trexperts Briefing Room. Now, on Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time, hang out with Sirach Lofton and myself as we talk about Lower Decks Season 4, Episode 4, that Orion one we were just talking about. That is 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel. Then on Friday, come right back here, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time on the virtual TrekCon YouTube channel. And hang out with us. It's time to Star Trek and chill. We're going to have a ton of fun. It's going to be insane. We're going to have a hot dog eating contest. We've never done that before live. It's going to be great.
Ooh.
John's going to be there. He's going to probably win.
Who will be the next Joey Chestnut?
We're all going to chicken out except for him. And then he's going to be like, wait, why aren't you guys doing this? I feel like I got to throw up. It's going to be great.
You did it to me again.
So stay tuned for that. No, but we will give you more announcements and more news, Star Trek news. So everybody enjoy that. Then lastly, Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel, go check us out. And we've got our first segment review of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2, Episode 13, Time Squared. Remember Time Squared? We'll be reviewing that one. So check that out. 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on the Seventh Rule YouTube channel. That's it. John Orchiola, can you please tell everybody where they can find you and all of your Screen Rant articles?
Well, all of my Screen Rant articles are conveniently found at Screen Rant /Star Trek. And you can find me for as long as Twitter/X still exists at Back of the Head, also on Instagram at Back of the Head, and Threads at Back of the Head. And then if you're in Blue Sky, I'm also there at Back of the Head. It's very convenient.
Noticing a theme.
Yes.
What about you, Melissa Longo? Where can people go find you online? What would you like to promote?
On social media, Melissa Longo, MALISSALONGO. And Walking Art made by Melissa on Patreon and theintrovertedrepublic.com.
What about you, Doctor?
Twitter at Anne-Marie Siegel1.
All right. And look, everybody, don't forget this. The badass virtual
so
TrekCon 5 art. Look, you can see all these little buildings back there.
I love that Westgate is in there. The OG.
Yes, it's all. Look at
it's right
there's
there.
this
Isn't
thing
it
right
so
here.
Cute?
Yeah,
Westgate.
that's where the Star Trek Hilton used to be.
Yeah.
Right there, this guy. And Paris, we've got the New Yorker, we've got this big old Ferris wheel. So we should have the Rio in there somewhere. We should just like add the Rio and have it be like the only thing that has color. Everything else is like black. You know, it's a silhouette, and this one has color. And right now, Matt Boardman's like, dude, you're screwing up the color scheme, man.
Yeah.
The Rio is purple and red. Everybody, you can
And
find
we're gonna
me.
have to talk more about, creation convention soon too. Sounds like.
You know we will. It's our favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Besides this, hey, everybody, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan TG Husk. Once again, that is Ryan TG Husk, or Virtual TrekCon, Falling Tower, or the Seventh Rule on any social media, especially YouTube. And go check out our podcasts. You can look up Virtual TrekCon. You will find this podcast and many others. We hope you do that. Thank you very much for joining us, Bob D, Allison Leach, hi, BL, Just Rosie, Linda, hello, C. Swanik, what's up, May,
Bye.
War Dog, Cy, Chuck A, Glenn Iverson, who's always funny, Robert Kaiser, who's always awake because he's in Austria right now, John Davis, thank you all, One Trek fan. It's been a great time, and that's it for us. So when you want to talk about For All Mankind, I don't know, find somewhere else. But if you want to talk about Star Trek, I'm just kidding. For All Mankind's great too. Put it on the main viewer. I don't know. I haven't seen For All